Okay, we're live. This is the Superpower Guide workshop for men. The good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm going to start off today with a story. Years ago, when I started to talk about these things in public, a friend of mine said, "You can't say that. You can't talk to people and guys like that. They're going to think you're crazy." And I said, "Well, I'm going to have to chance that. I'm going to have to take the risk." He said, "Well, it's your funeral." It hasn't been my funeral yet, and I hope it's not going to be my funeral today either. What I would like it to be is to take you on a journey to look inside of yourself. And I'm going to start this thing by asking you this question here. Have you ever said yes when your entire system is basically screaming a no? If you've ever felt that, you will probably resonate a lot with what we're going to talk about today. Also successful, high performing, capable men become people pleasers and doing that nice guy routine. And many of them do that for so long that it becomes the norm. They don't even see it anymore. And we're going to talk a little bit about that and why we do it, even though we can start to see pretty quickly that it's really detrimental for how we live our lives and how we are able to enjoy our lives and create relationships and create anything. My realization moment was a very high stakes situation, the biggest one I've had in my life up until that point. I'm in court, 8 years of legal struggle, and it was all supposed to sort of culminate today. I'm on the stand and I'm looking out over the room with a lot of people that doesn't really want me to do well. And it comes to me that all of this and all of these past 8 years and maybe the 10, 15 years before that is a consequence of me being a nice guy, doing that pleasing, nice guy, telling half the truth routine. The purpose of doing that, obviously, is to make everybody happy. But it very often creates the exact opposite of that. And I had been doing that for so long as I can remember. The insult and the lack of respect that I met was something I never walked away from. I just accepted it. And it didn't really matter how deep and profound that insult was. I was hiding very important parts of me. I was hiding my truth. At best, I was giving half of it. At worst, I was basically hiding it. I was keeping the peace. So my dark shadows were there, but I was unaware of them. I kept them hidden, locked away in the basement, and I could have used them. You know, they could have been on my side. They could have been taking that fight with me. Or even better, they could have stopped that fight before it even became what it became years earlier. And I didn't know how to stop that. It was like a runaway train. No matter what I did, I was sinking deeper in quicksand, or the train was running faster towards some calamitous end. And the number one question that sort of arose in me at that time was, how do I change this? What do I do? How do I do that? I'm Nic Van Otin. I'm a musician. I'm a guide. And I've spent the last years living in Sweden and India mainly, and actually I am in India at this very point. I am in Dharamsala, which is the northern part of India, a beautiful place where also the Dalai Lama actually resides. And I was lucky enough to be in the same room with him a few weeks ago, which was a big moment. He's a big inspiration for me. And I've spent a lifetime studying what drives us men, and also, therefore, what drains us. Here's me, age 4, top left corner. I'm playing my first drum with wooden spoons, as you may notice, which was not good for the drum head, which actually broke a short time after I was playing this drum and this picture was taken. But I had already gotten the bug to become a musician for life. And thankfully, my father repaired my drum and even gave me a few more so I could start playing the drum set. To the right is a picture of my dad, Bengt Arne Wallin, jazz legend, and one of the people who were attributed to bringing jazz music into Sweden in the 50s and 60s and merging it with Swedish folklore, making and creating a new genre in music, which is and was amazing and groundbreaking. And he made a ton of beautiful music and albums in his life. And in doing that work and in his musical career, he made friends with the guys at the bottom of this picture. Left is, in my opinion, the greatest trumpeter of all time, Clark Terry, who is and was an extremely close friend to my father, and consequently sort of a person that I was fortunate enough to grow up around, because my dad and Clark worked a lot together. Clark played lead trumpet on my dad's albums, several of them actually. And we went on tours in Sweden when I was a little kid. So I got to be around Clark and all of the other legendary artists and musicians in my dad's orchestras at the time. So the environment was amazing. And they both had brotherhood friendship with the guy at the bottom of the picture, who is arguably the most famous and greatest music producer and arranger of all time, Quincy Jones. Also the producer who he's made so many hits, I could spend the rest of the hour talking about him alone, and I won't. But one of the biggest ones, or the biggest one, is the greatest selling album of all time that he produced with Michael Jackson. The album is called Thriller. And I am absolutely positive that you guys, also the people watching this replay, have heard the songs on that album. That would be very surprising if you had not. Now, these two guys and many more, but mainly these two guys, were people that were huge influences on me growing up. Thanks to the fact that they lived at our house when I was a kid, when they were in Sweden. So I could literally sit at the breakfast table and look at Clark Terry making magic tricks with eggs, making them disappear. And he had this enormously infectious laughter that was amazing. And a very important person in my life. Now we have Mario coming in here as well. Welcome, Mario. I will get back to you, Mario, with a little more question and ask you a little bit later on. And also Quincy then spent time around me and my father a lot. And I was very fortunate to spend my whole life meeting him yearly, at least, in different places around the globe. And his energy was also something that has been a very big influence on me. And the way that these guys could interact and work together across race and age and borders was and is a huge inspiration on my life, and started this interest in what this masculinity is and why some people have a very infectious kind and others less so. So watching these legends and their friendship taught me not so much maybe about fame, because I didn't understand that fame was a thing. And you don't think about that when you're 5 years old. That comes later. Obviously, I met these guys all through my life, but then they were already some kind of a family relationship to me. So they became role models in the way that they carry themselves and how they were determined in their lives to create value for others. They did it through their art, through their music. And I'll include a little quote here from Clark Terry: just keep on keeping on. And he's famous for saying that a lot, and it's actually multi-layered when you consider what that actually means. And it felt to me already as a little kid that these guys were running on some different kind of fuel, like they were super powered. They never went to bed, for one thing. They were up all night, and they were happy, and they were playing their instruments and talking about music and friendship and traveling and the people that they met, and endless stories about things that have happened to them, which is not surprising considering that also the time period when these guys came up from very poverty-stricken areas, often in the States. And they used that energy and that power to bring all of themselves to the table. And that energy is something I often say, that I learned energy before I learned language. I think that's very true. That energy was very infectious on me. I've spent 40 years as a musician and a performer. I've been learning from world-class mentors my whole life on all kinds of things that is related to this with energy, also music, obviously. And it started with these people in my youth. I've guided men across Sweden, Europe, and India, and I've founded a system that we will return to talking a little bit today that is called the SuperpowerGuide system, inspired by these people. And how this session works today. So you invested time to be here, whether you're here or if you're watching the replay. And I take that very seriously. That is something that I don't take lightly. So my intention therefore today is to give you maximum value. I want you today to walk away with a few things. I'd like you to know, going out of this workshop today, how to meet these sides, these shadows, these parts of yourselves that I call the good, the bad, and the ugly. I actually define them in 7, and we're going to get back to that. And how to get them on your team, so to speak. How to make them your biggest assets. The things that you hide from people and yourself oftentimes. The things, the parts of you that you don't think really people will like. Those are actually your biggest strengths. Those are actually your superpowers. And some of what we'll go into it and talk about today is personal. So if you're good to go there with me, just drop a thumbs up in the chat or do like this in the video. And I hope that the guys watching the replay will be okay with it. So what it's not about, maybe I will talk about first. It's not about therapy. That is not what we do. It is not about medication or pills. It is not about Instagram apps that are supposed to quick fix these kinds of things. This is real work. This is how to actually do it. It is not about what I call no skin in the game. Quick fixes, YouTube reels. What I mean with no skin in the game is basically people sending out all of these. You're supposed to buy stuff that is supposed to fix you, but they have actually no clue what they're doing, and they take no responsibility for what they're doing either. What it is on the other side is about masculinity, dark masculinity, and light. It is also about sexuality, the part of us that is so essential to us guys that we are so often shamed and guilted for, even as little boys. We're going to talk about that. We're going to fix it too. So therefore, it's about the truth. What is the truth? And are we really able, and do we dare show it? It is about a 15-minute-a-day routine, a system. We set up a working system. It is about being guided through every step of that system. It is therefore going from the pleaser to the leader. Your inner superpower is what we're going to talk about today. Every man has it. We're born with it. You are too. But no one ever showed us how to use it, how to meet it, how to bring it out in us, and how to make it our friend, our ally. How to bring it out in how we interact with other people, and even more importantly, actually, how we interact with ourselves. It is about meeting your shadows, therefore. Jung called them shadows. I have a little bit of a different definition. We'll talk about that. The good, the bad, and also the ugly. The parts that we don't want others to see. What if we could use them? Huh? That changes the game. So most men never meet them. We do the opposite. We're going to face them. We're going to meet them. We're going to go eye to eye with them. And we're going to take control of them. This becomes a superpower for one simple and single reason. It's the truth. It is your truth. How can it be anything other than a superpower? Think about that. I often get this question when I talk to men that is not really aware of what I do. And they ask simply and frankly, is this for me? And I return that question oftentimes, and I ask them, are you living, speaking, and acting in your real inner truth right now? Have you been the last 20, 30 years? Are you showing people your real self, the truth that you have inside of you? And have the things you've tried so far done good, worked, made the change, made the transformation, the therapy, the quick fix snake oil apps, screens with content, adult content perhaps, that is not helpful, to say it very mildly, or YouTube 2-minute quick fix ideas. Are you hiding your authentic self? Are you really honest? We'll get back to that. So the day this this whole journey started for me was about 15 years ago. It was a full concert hall, and I was backstage, and I was sitting talking to one of the girls in the ensemble with a cup of coffee. We were about to go on stage in around 30 seconds. And at that time, I had maybe 25 years on stage playing professional music with the best musicians and artists I could think of. So I've been very fortunate in my life, and I got, as you now know, a very early start. Everything was the same this day as any other day. This particular show we did done for, I don't know how many times, maybe 60, 70 times already at that moment. And everything was the same people, the same crew, the lighting people, the audio people, the dancers, band, the orchestra, the artist, and production people, and so on, makeup. Everything was as it usually is. And this day, it just hit me. Everything suddenly became unreal. I look down at my hands and I see that my hands are there. I see that they are holding a coffee cup. But I lost a sense of what it's for. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what it does. And that was more strange than scary. I was just totally blank and I didn't know what was up and down anymore. But I felt kind of normal still. Everything became surreal. But then I realized that in about half a minute, I'm going to go on stage and I'm going to play drums for 2.5 hours. And I have no idea how to do that. Now, I've been playing drums every day for X amount of hours since I was 3.5 years old. So playing drums is equal to walking, basically, for me. It's my identity. It's what I do. And then it started to creep in that if I don't know how to do that anymore, I don't really know who I am anymore either. And that became very unpleasant, and kind of a panic set in. So I walk up to the drum kit and I start off the show. I count the band in. And I still have no idea what I'm doing. And as I'm walking up and I'm sitting down and I'm grabbing my drumsticks, I still don't know what this is gonna, I don't know what I'm doing. But some kind of a muscle memory kicked in and I counted the band off and I started playing. And to my big surprise, throughout these 2.5 hours, I was expecting someone or many people come up to me and say, "What are you doing? You're messing everything up. We can't dance. We can't sing. What's going on? You're fucking up the whole concert. What's going on?" But no one did, to my big surprise. And I get through these 2.5 hours on pure muscle memory, in total surprise that nobody noticed. And then as I walk off the stage and I go back up to my dressing room, I knew that I had to make the biggest shift of my life up until that point. Because I am not living my life in truth and honesty. I made the first difficult call within 5 minutes of walking off that stage. And that was a very difficult call, let me tell you. And that set me off on a journey. My body was trying to tell me things. I was in unhealthy relationships, and I had been for a long time. I wasn't speaking my truth. I wasn't honest with who I am. So how could they be honest with me either? I wasn't clear. They were not good either. I'm not taking full blame for everything that was wrong in my life, but I take ownership of my part of it. I was unhealthy also personally. I was disconnected to my dark masculinity, and whatever the people in my youth had, this superpower I was telling you guys about, I definitely no longer had any access to that. Now, remember, I was as successful as I could even dream of being. I had my dream job. I was on stage playing with the best musicians and artists I could think of. None of that had any meaning to me now. At this point, I realized that I had to rebuild my life from the ground up. And that set me off on a 15-year-long journey. It took me all over the world. And that journey made me realize, and I learned on a very deep level on that journey, that it's not about age. It is not about genes, and it's not about luck. You can control your shadows. You can stop the people pleasing and start leading both yourself and others. That journey is what became the Superpower Guide system that we will be talking about today. Where most men go wrong then is doing the same that they've always done, hoping for a different outcome, keeping on with this half-truth life, hoping that life will come in and just change all that, or some partner will come in and change all that. Keeping on hiding what's inside, keeping on hiding what is true for them. Keeping up this fear of not being enough or even being too much sometimes. Keeping that dark, that what you call shadows, lost in the basement for no one to see, including ourselves. Disconnected from the sexuality part of us. And the body doesn't work that way, nor does the mind. So this is a core foundation, being honest and true as a human, as a man, about our masculinity, our sexuality. We can't take that away or lock it in the basement either. That will actually not, we will not survive that. And that's a very dramatic word, and I use it very purposefully. Now, what many men tell me is these kinds of things. Honestly, I'm not really true with anyone. I don't even trust myself anymore. And here's what's going on. When you're not connected to yourself, when you're not leading yourself, taking ownership and meeting your shadows, your body will slowly but surely disconnect. Your sexuality, your core, all of that starts to fade. And the sexuality, guys, this is important. That's sort of the canary in the coal mine. That is the marker where you know that something is not right. And here's the reality for many men globally. And if you've ever seen, and I could show you the data that is coming in, that is not a fun read. Testosterone levels are dropping significantly globally. 63% of all men over the age of 40 report not having sex weekly, and even report not having a sexuality in their lives whatsoever. Men struggle in relationships because of this. Vitality, therefore, drive, sexuality dropping across all age groups, including men under 30. Most men don't even know that they can do something about this. So masculinity is fading. Men are suffering globally in all areas of life, also the bedroom, obviously. This has led to what I call the quiet epidemic of global proportions. Men will not survive continuing down this path. And us guys, we tend to hide these ugly, quote unquote, sides. The bad part of us, the killer, if you like, the monster in us. I define these into 7. And we're going to work around these 7 archetypes: the killer, the seducer, the king, that has to do with pride and vanity, the beast, with his overdoing things, the rival, which has to do with envy and jealousy, the bad, that has to do with greed and wanting things and clinging on to things, and the monster, which has to do with what's called in the deadly sins sloth, which basically is laziness or inability to act. And we're going to work around all of those and start to realize that these are actually not negative energies if we can control them. We go and meet our masculine, the dangerous parts of ourselves, and we take control. And then we transform whatever negative energy they have into positive, creative energy that helps us create and lead other men and women, and most of all, ourselves. So if you want to go meet your dark masculine power, this is where you want to be. I'm going to give you a little story from a client of mine from maybe 2 years ago. I call him the man in the mirror. He was always the pleaser. His life was breaking apart from this pleasing. Nobody trusted him, of course, because he doesn't trust himself. This pleasing led to him just getting more into trouble, digging the hole deeper and deeper every day. Nobody trusts a man who doesn't trust himself. And he asked me, how do I trust myself? How do I stop this runaway train that I'm on of half-truths and keeping the peace and making everybody happy when obviously everybody is not happy? Most of us can actually see that pretty clearly. And after the first shift in the SuperpowerGuide system, he came back and he said this: today in my routine, I felt fully connected. For the first time in a long time, I felt so sure of myself. When I passed the mirror, I saw a man I didn't recognize. He saw his true dark masculine parts, shadows. He went on to meet them. He faced up to them. He saw them for what they were, and he took control over them. And this is what usually happens within the first weeks of working on this. We get more drive. Men feel more vitality. That drive to go up and do things in life, to create things. Jump out of bed and say, thank you for another day. I get another shot at doing something I really want to do. They therefore become much more attractive to the right people, the people that are supposed to come into their lives. And they also become very honest about the people that are not supposed to be in their lives, because now they're dealing with the real man, not some version. So there becomes like a vibe around these men. You can usually see it. It's an amazing thing to see when I work with men and see how they start to live. And that leads in turn to better sleep because they're calm. Their nervous system is regulated. Their parasympathetic nervous system is starting to become aligned because they don't have to hide what's inside. They now know that they're walking in the direction that they have chosen to walk. That leads to a clearer mental edge. They're not scattered. They're not thinking about 20 different things at the same time, not knowing which one to deal with. They become really good at salience. The salience network in the brain is becoming very much more activated. So we can start to prioritize. I do this first and then I do that because that leads me to be able to do this. Clarity, mental attention, focused attention. And that in turn leads to a greater sense of trust in yourself and in your body to work the way you're used to. And this is what happens. Others will start to notice it first. It is almost always this way. People around these guys are starting to say, what have you been doing? What's up? Something feels, you have this new stride in your walk. You just approach things differently. You're calm, you're laughing more, you're more present. And that's because when you're true, others feel safe. Now think about the simplicity of that. If you're true, others feel that. You feel if other people are not true. We're really good at that, us humans. This is what happens when you're not role playing a nice guy, which is basically bullshitting people. Let's be very honest about that. It is clear that we do it for the greatest intentions. And I might ruffle a few feathers when I say this, but I have to be honest. We are bullshitting because we're using a pattern that we see clearly is not working. And we make other people feel unsafe when our intention is to make them feel the opposite. And whenever this slide comes up in my presentations and when I talk about this, my key word on this slide is finally. Finally, the world is waking up to this. Leading voices, scientists, researchers, influential profiles, and also here in Northern India are starting to look at the whole picture. And it's even being discovered globally. I am very happy to not feel as alone in this as I did a few years ago. We are now redefining the science on this entire field. And in my opinion, there is no looking back from here. This is the next frontier of men's health and wellness. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. We're going to take a holistic look at what it is to be a man and give men the tools they need to change their lives. This is the SuperpowerGuide system. It's grounded in modern Western science and research. And it's also rooted in ancient Eastern thought and practices. And how these are converging right now in all areas of science is an amazing time to be alive. And it makes me so happy and grateful that the scientists that I talk to are saying the same things as the Tibetan Buddhists that I speak with around these things here in Dharamsala in northern India. All of these things are connected more and more as we realize that these things actually work. Connecting men with their true selves, all parts of themselves, is the way to go. This work is based on everything from Stoicism, Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, to what His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who actually I had the great privilege of spending a few hours in the same room as the other week. He lives literally 20 minutes from where I'm standing. It is also based on James R. Doty, Stanford professor and the founder of the education that I graduated from, CCARE, Center for Compassion and Altruism Research and Education. And it's based on Sam Harris, a truth-seeking neuroscientist and author. So what is required to do this work then? Well, a system is required. We need guidance because no one told us how to do this. We need the real methods, the ancient and the modern ones. We need the protocols, how we can follow this step by step. We need routines to put into our lives, and we need practices. We need a dynamic system that works for our individual life. So the system has to be tailor-made for each and every one of us. It is also required that we have an actual commitment, a real decision made in the heart of hearts that we want to change. We want to do this. I call that a hard requirement because I will get back to that later, but it is vital. We have to be clear in our minds that this is happening. I'm doing this. And we need also a daily routine, 15 to 20 minutes minimum a day, and having a learning growth mindset. And I like this quote here. I forget who said it, but it's a very good quote. Set up a system, not goals. A system will take you where you want to go. A system you will tweak and work with, and it's dynamic, so it will change over time. The goals tend to be something that we're supposed to work towards, and then when we get it, we're done. And life doesn't work that way. We instead set up a system with milestones, absolutely. But we will be keeping on doing this for the rest of our lives because it is that helpful. The SuperpowerGuide system is a 90-day system. It has 3 shifts. Each one builds on the last. There are 3 levels per shift. That makes it 9 in all. You will always know where you are and what to do. We will measure weekly, very, very carefully, and do check-ins on all kinds of parameters. And we will make charts. The system actually makes those charts for us, so you can follow and see exactly how you progress and what happens in a very interesting way. I'll talk more about that soon. There are 2 tracks. It's a one-on-one personal private mentorship with me. And there is a group track for guys who like to work weekly with men, other men doing the same journey, exchanging experiences and how everything that happens along the way. There are weekly live sessions as we do this work. And the how then? Well, the mind. You're going to learn how to direct your attention like a champion, like the greats. The greats here, there are also great people in athletics, in business, in all areas of the arts, music, people in my youth, for instance. All of them had this thing in common. They were really, really great at focusing their attention on what is important and putting the unimportant or uncontrollable stuff in the periphery. We're going to train you to do that in a super simple way. But there are different ways to do that. I call that FAM, Focused Attention Method. It's part of the system. You will also meet your dark masculine shadows, the 7. And you will do that from a place where you are at your most powerful and at your least weak. So we will place you in a state of extreme safety when we do this. That's the mental part. And then there's the physical part, the body. We will get blood flow optimal in your body. We will get functionality optimal in your body. And that, my brothers, includes your manhood. This is also a key part of doing this. We're going to connect you to your sexuality physically as well. These are ancient techniques that I have taken out from their original context, made efficient and modern, and applied to this system as part of how we train ourselves on a daily basis. You will get your true sexuality back, and you will get it in a whole new way that it has never been before. That I can pretty much guarantee you. That alone puts you in a place you most likely have never been before. That is part of the superpower. This is physically how we do it. So you will develop a deep connection to your dark masculine sexuality as well. You will develop a powerful ability to align with all of your 7 shadows. That creates safety for others because you are fully in your masculine energy, the good, positive masculine energy, because you've transformed whatever negative shadows you have into positive but powerful allies. You become trustworthy for others because you trust yourself on a whole new level. And that is sometimes what we call confidence. We will measure your progress every hour, day, month of this work. We train it, we track it, and we do that for the long term. So you can even come back years from now, checking in where you were when you started this journey. And you will get this. These are just a little sneak peek of what we're doing. We look at the level of superpower energy in you, the level of drive, the level of how your nervous system works, how you feel that your body performs, also in the bedroom, how your mind works. Are you here? Are you present? Are you scattered or not? You will get these lines so you'll see exactly. We will look at your sleep. We will look at your confidence levels, and we will also connect different kind of devices in the near future, the Garmin and Apple Health, to be able to monitor all of this stuff even more carefully. And now I have the pleasure to introduce what I've been working on the last couple of months. NIC AI. Nic AI is your private superpower guide. He is an extension of me. He is trained on everything I have spoken, everything I have written, my books, everything for the last 10 years. He has that. He's trained on every word. And not only that, Nic will be trained on what you give him when you use him. Everything you share with Nic and the data and how you progress during this time, Nic will be your constant guide. He is there 24/7, 365 in your pocket, guiding you step by step in every single exercise, routine, practice, and protocol. That is a whole new level of guidance. And I'm very proud to say that I'm the first that does it this way. This is just a game changer. So the more you use him, the more you talk to him, the more he learns, and the more we can also work with together. So the system then contains of me, Nic Van Otin. You do live sessions with me. You work with me, whether or not you're in the premium one-on-one program or in the group track. That is direct, that is personal. I go on the journey together with you. And then you have Nic AI supporting you all the way. And he speaks 7 languages, by the way. So if you're Portuguese or German or Spanish or English or French or Italian, you can get Nic to talk to you in your own language. He also speaks with my voice, interestingly enough. And he will take you to all of the other places that I cannot be. And together we are your guides. So Nic AI is trained on you, on your life, on your needs, your wants, and most importantly, your vision. We start by setting out your vision. This is the tradition from this part of the world. That's what the Buddhists call right view. Setting out the direction where you want to walk. And then you start walking towards that in truth. Nic is in your pocket, even at 2 a.m. in the morning, when you need him. We define this vision of yours, and then we start to create it. And we start to create it in the real world. It's not an imaginary thing. Your worlds will be impacted by this work in ways I can't overstate. This is profound. We're nearing the end of this, and I'm going to share an experience that I had a little over a year and a half ago. I was in Calcutta. I was invited to teach compassion, and I was there for the holidays, and I was also there to play. I toured India before that. And on Christmas Day, my friend took me in a car and drove me out to a large field. And I looked out over that field and I saw so many kids. He told me it was over 2,000 there. He gave me a box drum, which is a drum you sit on and you play. And he gave me a Santa Claus hat because, well, I had the beard and it was Christmas Day. And the invitation he gave me was very simple. He said, go out there and see what happens. So I did. Kids stormed in as I started to play my box drum. They started singing. They started dancing. More and more kids they never stopped coming and pouring in. I was almost getting like, whoa, what's happening here? I was submerged in these kids. They were dancing, singing, laughing, playing, making all kinds of noises, and in getting in time with what I was playing. And they obviously thought I was some kind of an alien with the way I look. These kids showed me what real energy is. They showed me what real superpower energy is. 100% present, totally engulfed in getting that moment and then the next moment to be the most amazing moment possible for them. They were so alive. I've never felt anything like that. And my friend, here's a picture of me just in the beginning when I welcomed them. I'm actually in tears here. My friend told me that we work in these charity organizations all over Calcutta and NGOs, and we help taking these kids off the streets. We give them education, we give them safety, community, shelter, family, homes, food. We give them an actual future because we put them in schools that will actually lead somewhere. But the biggest thing that we can actually give them is not all that. The biggest gift we can offer these kids is spending time with them. Here's an image of myself doing just that, and my good friend behind me, who is the originator of doing that incredible work, and I was fortunate enough to be part of. Now, why am I telling you this story? I am telling you this story for this reason. Your life changes when your shadows become your assets. This is one of the many examples of what happened to me because I did that work and I do that work and I will be doing that work for the rest of my life. The real question, therefore, is what's going to happen when you do it? So beyond today, as you can understand, a 90-day program, I can't fit that into 60 minutes workshop. But if you're ready, you can actually take this further. I will put in this caveat. This work, I mentioned it before, and I'll say it again, is not for everyone. It is for men who are serious about making this change and making a commitment to do it. It is for the good men ready to show their bad selves to the world. You'll know in your heart if that's you. And it all starts right now. It doesn't start sometime later. Later is the enemy of this. If you feel that your life is not going to where you want it to go, you need to make a change. If you feel that you are too much of a people pleaser or a yes man, as they say, or nice guy, and the world is not corresponding to you the way you intend, now is the time to do it, not later. It will only get worse. That is an urgency that I cannot overstate. It works like this. I offer you a free one-on-one, private, personal, 60-minute call where we will talk about where you are, what you want, what is your vision, what feels in the way of that vision. And we're going to do that with real honesty. We're going to talk straight. And I will be as straight with you as I hope you are with me. If I can help you, I will tell you. If I feel that I cannot, I will tell you that too. And even if we never work together, the worst that can happen is that you'll leave that call with a lot more clarity than you entered it. There is obviously very limited spots for the reason that this takes up a lot of my time. But I believe that this is how we need to do it. It starts by booking a 20-minute intake call where we both feel if this is right. And if it is, we go deeper and I give you the link to the 60-minute call. Both are free. Again, very limited spots. You can book that, and I suggest that you book that right now. There's a link at the bottom here. I will put that in the chat for the guys. Here. I had some questions here come up from Mario. What comes up is how alone I feel. Yeah. How do you go from the vision to execution in the real world? Well, yeah, that is what this program is about, my brother. And that much I can guarantee you that we do that through these protocols that I've developed. This is a very tangible way to do it. Here's the link to book the call. You can also use the QR code that is here. Just take out your camera and take it. For the guys watching the replay, just book a call right away, and I will give you yet another reason to do that. My commitment is this: I bring full attention to my work, all of my experience to it. I did that with music, and I do that with this. This is a personality trait. This is how I am. Therefore, I work best with men who show up the same way. And again, same in music. Musicians that come to play, to make things happen, is the people that I work best with because that's how I am. And here's a little very limited offer. You get your free NIC AI ticket. So the first 20 guys that come in and I speak to, and that we decide that we go into the 60-minute call, or that you start the program right away, you will get an invitation to NIC AI. A free 14-day subscription to start working with him. This is very limited, obviously. So book your free call right away if you want to secure your ticket to start doing this work. Here's the QR code again to the 20-minute intake call. And I'm going to end this by reminding you about this. When you live in truth, it impacts other people, not only yourself. Your partners will see this and feel this. They will become very curious. What's going on? You're taking time for yourself. You're doing this work. What's up? And that sparks this attraction energy. even if you are in a long-term relationship, that will come alive. If you are hoping to become partner with someone, you will become magnetic because you are now in your truth. I know that it might sound really obvious, and in a way it is, but we so oftentimes forget how simple the truth can be sometimes. Your relationships will be impacted beyond measurement by you doing this. This is a game-changing, life-changing work. And it will also impact the people you work with at work. You will become the person who takes charge, who wants responsibility, who takes initiative. You're assertive. You provide a container for other people to feel safe in, because you're safe in yourself now. You're secure with your sexuality. You're secure with your shadows. You have them on your team. That makes other people feel safe at work, at home, and in bed. And that's the secret that no one ever told you. When you stop hiding your truth, on the other side of that is freedom. Freedom to be you. That is the biggest gift you can offer the world and yourself. This has been the good, the bad, and the ugly. Bring out your bad self workshop. And I end this by saying, welcome to your true self. Thank you. Now, as part of this, if you have any questions, Daniel, feel free to chime in or book a call with me and I'll talk with you directly. I can't hear you, so you have to here we go.
Here we go.
Yeah.
You hear me?
Yeah, I do.
Great. I look forward. I booked a call with you. I booked a call with you on Thursday.
Awesome. I will talk to you
at
then.
1 o'clock.
Great.
Yeah.
Good.
I look forward. Yeah.
Great.
Perfect.
I'm going to be looking forward to hearing your story a little bit more and see what happens. So great. I'll see you then.
Yeah. See you then. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. And Mario, if you want to add anything, you're welcome to do so. You can write in the chat if you have a bad connection. Yeah, he's also booked. Okay. So Mario, thank you. And Daniel, thank you. And all the guys in the replay do the same. And let's make the world a little better place by making ourselves a little better. Yeah. I think that's gonna be the ending for today. So thank you for chiming in. Bye-bye.